If you can understand this story, then your English listening skills are incredible. And that's because I'm going to be speaking at a very natural, native pace, and I'm not going to be including any subtitles either. So I'm just going to be speaking to you as if you were one of my friends, and I'm also outside, as you can probably tell by now. So that means there is going to be a bit of background noise. So in general, it's going to be a very realistic test of your English listening abilities. Okay, and this is a true story as well. It's something that happened right here in Korea about 2 years ago. So yeah, I'm just in Korea right now, walking through some random markets. Why not? So it's about the time that I almost joined a Korean cult. Let me put the storytelling sunglasses on. So this happened in November 2022 in Seoul, the capital. And it took place in an area called Hongdae in particular. And Hongdae is quite a lively area, lots of shops and bars and people and stuff like that. So it happened on a Saturday at about 12 p.m, so the middle of the day. Now, I did go out the night before, not last night, but the night before this story took place. And that's somewhat relevant because it means that I was feeling slightly tired, a bit hungover. But that's important because basically I had one goal for this. Legends. Anyway, I had one goal for this day, and that was to buy some boots. Okay, so I'm not talking about football boots, I'm talking about black suede Chelsea boots, and I knew the exact type that I wanted. So that was my goal. And I was walking through all of these shops, and I was going in there and I was showing them photos, and we came close, but we didn't quite find the exact pair that I wanted. So a couple of hours had passed, it was about 2 o'clock now, and I found myself standing outside this 7-Eleven shop. And that's when things got crazy, because that's when two people came up to me. Two seemingly nice, friendly, innocent people, right? Although I did have my suspicions towards the end of the story, but you'll see what I mean. And they came up to me and said, "Hi, where are you from?" I was like, "Oh, I'm English, nice to meet you. Oh, what's your name?" "Dylan, blah, 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 blah." "So what are you doing here?" "I'm on holiday." "No, what are you doing here today?" "Oh, no, sorry, I'm looking for some boots." They were like, "Oh, really? Maybe we can help you." So I showed them a photo and they said, oh yeah, we can help you. I think I know where we can find these. So basically we were staying in the area and we went from shop to shop, and they were just going into all of these shops and helping me say, "Oh, excuse me, do you have these shoes? Do you have these shoes? Do you have these shoes?" And we found this few pairs that are somewhat similar to the ones I wanted, but nothing perfect. So a couple of hours had passed. Genuinely, we were looking for these shoes for like 2 more hours. And afterwards I was like, "You know what, guys, I really appreciate your help, but I don't think it's gonna happen today. I think we're gonna have to cut our losses and just accept defeat, try and find them another day. Thank you so much though." They were like, "Oh yeah, no worries, no worries. So what are you doing now?" And I said, "Nothing." "Why?" And that was the first mistake that I made that day. I was like, "Oh, because we're going to go to an event. Perhaps you'd like to come." I was like, "Oh, what sort of event?" They said, "Oh," they were quite shady with the details, which is probably a red flag looking back. But they said it was something to do with the importance of unity and family, and that I should go there. I was like, "Okay, that sounds a bit suspicious." And they were like, no, it's fine, it's fine. It's on the other side of Seoul though, so we need to get a train. It'll take about half an hour. Is that okay?" I was like, half an hour. And I was umming and ahhing about whether to go. I was literally just stood outside this 7-Eleven because I'm a pretty indecisive person as it is. And it was a Saturday, but I was in this sort of hungover, giddy mood, and I was like, "Oh, shall I just do it? Shall I do this thing?" And after a while, I decided to do it for one reason, and for one reason only. And that's because I wanted something to talk about in my Tuesday newsletter. Yeah, so I put my life on the line for a story for an email that I didn't even bother sending in the end. I didn't even include that. Anyway, we're getting a video out of it. It's all good. So I said yes, but I said, "Listen, guys, I can't really be bothered to get a train. I'm feeling lazy. Let's just get a taxi." Okay. I was like, "Okay, fine. Let's get a taxi." So the taxi was 20 minutes. That's how long it was supposed to take. But because it was a Saturday and it was about 5 p.m. at this point, the traffic was just insane. Seriously. So we got into the taxi after 5 minutes. We were driving for 5 minutes. Then we were just stationary. We were at a standstill. So just picture this. There's me, 2 random Korean people who I don't know, nice people, but strangers. And the sun is starting to go down. It's starting to get dark. I'm starting to feel the hangover from last night. And my social battery has just gone. It's depleted. It's over with. And these 2 people, bless them, just would not stop speaking to me. They just kept asking me all of these questions. And I'm quite introverted, so I was just not really in the mood to answer them. And as every minute went by, I was less and less in the mood to answer these questions. So, and they were quite invasive as well, some of these questions. And also they just kept looking at my phone as well, which was quite weird. So I think there was a football match happening at the time. If I was checking the score on my phone or if I was just texting someone, they kept looking over and they weren't really being that discreet about it either. Anyway, at this point, I decided I'd had enough. I'm going home. So we, as a group, we decided just to get out of the taxi because the traffic was insane, to walk to the station and then get the train to this place. I'd already mentally decided that when we get to the train station, I was just gonna make an excuse and go home, but they didn't know that. So we got out, the taxi driver let us out. It was a somewhat inconvenient location, so we had to walk for 10, 15 minutes to get to the station. And by the way, during this time, they were just taking photos of me, which was another red flag. And because in Korea, you can't turn the sound effect off when you take a photo of something on your phone. So I could just hear like, and I'd turn around and they were just taking photos of me, right? So I didn't even question them though. I was just like, okay, at this point I was pretty done. Let's just see what happens. Let's wait for this car to go by. So we finally arrive at the station and they say, okay, we need to get on this train and this train and this train. And I said, yeah, I'm not going. They're like, what? I was like, I'm sorry guys, I'm so tired. I feel like we've already tried to make this journey happen, but we got stuck in traffic. Maybe that's a sign, I'm not going. And they were like, what do you mean you're not going? I said, I'm just not really feeling it. Bye guys. They're like, no, you can't leave. Everyone is expecting you. And that was the biggest red flag. They were just adamant. They would not let me leave. And I said, guys, I don't even really know you. Like respectfully, you seem nice, but I'm sorry, I'm just really tired. And they're like, no, you have to come. You have to come. They would not take no for an answer. So we were basically on this platform in this random train station, debating for like 10 minutes. I was like, I'm going. They're like, no, you can't. They were asking for all of these reasons and then trying to come up with counter arguments for every single reason I gave. Then after a while, I was like, guys, I'm sorry. This is it. Goodbye. And they looked so sad and somewhat angry at me as well. They were like, oh, but everyone's expecting you. Huge red flag once again. So eventually I leave and I was feeling a bit resentful at this point. I was kind of annoyed that they had just completely ruined my vibe because, as I say, I had my music on, it was a sunny Saturday, I was going to buy some boots, I was in a great mood, and then all of a sudden I was just in the middle of nowhere trying to, like almost arguing with these strangers as to why I didn't want to go with them on this suspicious sounding journey. Anyway, after that they finally let me go, they finally took no for an answer, and I continued on my search for the boots. So I found a Zara nearby, I walked there, found the exact pair. They were on a mannequin though, so I had to ask the guy to please take the mannequin apart. It was so awkward. He had to unscrew the top, unscrew the trousers, and then just rip these Chelsea boots off this mannequin's feet. Tried them on, they were almost perfect, but just a tiny bit too big. There was another mannequin next to that original mannequin, so I had to say to him, hey man, would you mind please just, I want to try those ones on, is that okay? And he was like, oh, for God's sake, really? Anyway, he did it. I ended up buying those boots, and then I ended up going out later that night because it was my friend's last day in Korea, and had some beers, and I ended up scuffing those boots that I risked my life and my freedom to get. So yeah, quite a sad story, but it's all good. I found some marker thing, covered it. Anyway, that's it. But it was only in hindsight that I realized how suspicious that was and how potentially dangerous it could be, because during the time I didn't think I was in any sort of danger. I didn't realize that it could have been a cult. I thought it was just some religious thing, to be honest, but I thought it was innocent enough. And it was only in hindsight I was like, oh, is that what happened? Is that, damn. Oh, okay then. So I may have dodged a bullet there. So yeah, that's it. That's the time I almost joined a cult in Korea. Crazy. So that's the story, guys. Please let me know how much of it you were able to understand, because as mentioned, I was speaking at a very native pace there. I was not slowing down at all. And yeah, I'll see you all very soon. I hope you stay safe from those Korean cults. All right, cheers guys. Mwah. Adios.